Hello everybody, I'm Roadblock. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. So, this is kind of a weird video that I've been pretty excited to make because I think it's going to really shed some light on Wixwell and Wixwell teams. Now, if you're like me, you probably had some drop off in your Wixwell teams after they made the nerf to shields, basically limiting how high shields can be. What does this mean for Wixwell teams? Well, basically, it means that you can't. It's a lot harder to go 1500 turns. Now, if you have other damage mitigation and other things in there that prevents that shield from being destroyed too much in the later rounds, then you can go 1500. But for those of us who are still in older gear, or maybe we're not as developed of an account, right? It can be quite difficult and challenging. Um, I'm in that boat, right? So on my free to play, um, I was struggling to get a consistent team. So sometimes I would do 85 million, and other times I would do 67 million. And it's like, you want that 70 million. That's the goal for Ultra Nightmare. Regular Nightmare is not a problem on either of my accounts, but that 70 million mark on Ultra Nightmare has been a challenge for me on both accounts, which is
Shoot him, Kevin!
The timing. Well, hey, thank you, Shivon, for the subscription. So, what am I here to talk about? I am here to talk about some different options that you have. Now, over on my free to play, we finally got Lady Mikage, right? Sorry, I was in the middle of doing Tag Team Arena. I finally got Lady Mikage on the free to play. The first thing I wanted to do was put her into my clan boss team, which is very easy to do because this is already a 3-turn cooldown, no books required. Great news, right? That is a better buff extender than what I was using, which was Godseeker. And the reason that sorry, didn't realize where I was. The reason I took Godseeker out is because Godseeker didn't bring any buffs. Godseeker just extended buffs. Bringing buffs helps a lot more. But then basically I toyed around with this and I found a good damage point. Now, it did fail on me today, but I want to point out that's an affinity thing, I think. Or no, sorry, that's the wrong one. Yeah, free to play. I have all force affinity. So the affinity, magic affinity, is a problem for me because they will always target one of my buff extenders, which is a problem because I might not extend the buffs. They might get stunned. This Anchorite is also going to take more damage than we want them to take. So, real quickly, because a lot of you guys have seen my video where I talked about making this on the free-to-play, I have made some changes. I did finally get better reflex gear to make this, to improve the team. Reflex is not a requirement, but it does make things much easier. Now, if you remember, my other team was running Godseeker and an Ursula, and now I'm running double DPS on this team. And we're really not here to talk about this team, but I do kind of want to give like a brief overview of Wixwell teams and stuff like that. But, we have a buff extender, buff extender, buff extender, HP burn, and a champion that does a lot of damage if their enemy is under HP burn. And this team works really, really well. You can see like on Nightmare, putting up very good numbers over on Nightmare. And this is kind of a traditional team, right? The speeds are very close together. So I've got Lady Mikage at 253. We've got Wixwell at 227. There is a gap there to be sure, but it's not big enough that it's a problem. And then our shield champion at 230 speed. They are all very close together. I've never had them not line up their shield or their buff extensions, right? And that team's working fine. Now, hopefully you guys have got your Lady Mikage already. She is perfect in this area. But what happens if... Well, let me explain why Lady Mikage is so good. Lady Mikage is so good because she also brings an ally attack. Now, I do not decrease the cooldown on this yet. I haven't booked Lady Mikage yet. But this ally attack just gives you way more damage. Just plain and simple, you get a ton of damage from this ally attack because you're getting all the War Master procs. You're sending your hard-hitting champions in there like a Rathalos. On my other one, you're going to see it'll be Ninja. And it could be Ninja for you guys if you got Ninja, right? Sorry about the sniffles here, guys. This team's working for me. There's probably a better team. Like I said, we're not here to talk about this team, but this is kind of what you're looking for out of a team. Lady Mikage works really, really well there, but because of the ally attack, you get a bunch of damage. So even if you don't get those 1,500 turns anymore, you get a lot of damage, extra damage from that Lady Mikage over some of your other buff extenders that you might be using, right? For example, I know there's the Valerie, right? That's a buff extender. I use Godseeker, but if they're not bringing buffs, then it's slowing down how fast you build up that shield, right? My original plan was to use Corvus. Corvus is a great option if you happen to have him because he increases buffs, but also brings poison and a decreased attack on an A1. In fact, he's still not a bad choice to put in here because he reduces the damage that the boss can do based on poisons. Also bringing decreased attack on an A1 works really well with an ally attacker. And of course poison and poison sensitivity. So this is still a very good option that I would likely use in the future, in fact. As an option over my Anchorite. But for the time being, Anchorite's built, geared, not even fully mastered, and that's what I'm going with on this account. But what happens if you want to use a Lady Mikage, but your other buff extenders can't reach the speeds that you can get on Lady Mikage? And this was what I found interesting. So now we go back over to the main account. And I just want to show you the build on my Lady Mikage. So she is in full protection. This is a build for Hydra. I know there's some talk about ally attack and things, you know. Ignore that for now. Let's just focus on the fact that that's what my Lady Mikage is built for and what I use her for. She's quite fast. I mean, she's at 340 speed. That now, to some of you guys watching that, you're going to say, that's so crazy fast. And others are going to be like, it's not 400. Ain't good enough. I totally get that. Keep in mind, every account is at different stages in this game. 340 for my account is very fast. My fastest champion is still my Arbiter, and she's 359 speed. So 340 is not at all far from one of my fastest champions on the account. But that poses a problem, right? Because if you have somebody running this fast, and you go to, and you're doing buff extension, well, she will sometimes take 2 turns to everyone else's 1 turn and lose her buffs. That's not good, right? You don't want somebody to lose their buffs. So how do you solve that? Well, my original plan, if we go to the filter and the fitting room, was to just slow her down. But this is kind of time consuming. Oh, sorry, let me show you the preset. So I made a preset for her that actually put her in reflex as well, which will just, I mean, we were going to get crazy buff extension, right? And this slowed her down enough. If I was to try this on, you'll see that took her down to 284 speed. You combine that with the reflex portion of it, she'll be extending those buffs even more. So we would probably not, even though she's still quite faster than the other 2 on this account, we can look at them real quick, we probably wouldn't have outran the buffs. We're 267 on Vault Keeper, and then my other buff extender is Oella at 242. So we would have been, I think, okay at the 285 speed, but there's one drawback to this. I'm constantly changing gear. Now, this is a paid account. This is my main account. I do spend money on this account. But what I'm worried about is if I make that switch and put the reflex over here, and I'm doing Hydra, and I'm 45 minutes into Hydra, and then I say, oh no, did I remember to put my protection gear on Lady Mikage? Is that why my damage is so low? Right? So, with that in mind, I tried to come up with a solution. When I ran her in that reflex gear, it worked perfectly. We had no problems. Just to be clear, if you don't care about the speed of a Lady Mikage on your account, you can just do reflex gear and it's great. But I had kind of a theory. As I was testing that reflex gear, and even before testing the reflex gear, I kind of noticed some things, and I kind of had a thought about this, okay? If I build my DPS in my team, which, by the way, is Ninja and Rathalos, really well, like they hit really hard, right? We've got lethal on Ninja. Is it worthwhile to still bring Mikage at this speed and just do the damage I want before she dies? Because she still gets Wixwell's shield whenever he reapplies it. And we have good healing. Like, if you don't know Oella's kit that well, Oella can heal really well. And, we're bringing healing. I mean, she's, healing 30% of their HP. That's pretty big. So this was my theory, and I tested it. And I was super pleased with the result. Now, I am going to show you this. Shouldn't be too long of a video, because we're just going to test this here. But I'm going to show you what this looks like. Let me just make sure, because I do have that extra key. So I'm kind of giving up my brutal key here to do this, because didn't do my keys on time today, but it's fine. Now you can see, spoiler here, the team does 151 million damage, right? But this is a broken team. This team is not completed. And you'll see what I mean when we get started on the fight. So we're going to go ahead and turn off quick battle so we can watch it here. I showed you the speeds. These are just my best, not even my best possible, because he's not even in any ignored defense gear. But lethal on Ninja. I didn't show his speed, but it's not a big deal. It's just any probably Shadowkin DPS would work really well with Lady Mikage here, because of her passive on the A1. And then I really like Rathalos paired up with Ninja. I don't use Rathalos in a lot of other areas of the game, and what's really cool about Rathalos is the self-buffing that he does. He kind of gains some extra shield and is surprisingly more tanky, I feel like, than a lot of other champions I put in there. But without any further ado, let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. Now, remember, this Lady Mikage is far too fast to do this, and you'll see what I mean by that. So here we go. Okay, so right now, everyone has 3 stacks of this initial shield, okay? This is the one that has the checkerboard pattern. You guys can see it there, right? This is the one that we're really trying to pay attention to, okay? Now, that's the shield buff that you get from the shield set, for those of you that don't know. The reason you need a shield set is that he's extending and increasing the value of the shield set shield and the shield that he casts on everybody, which is this other shield right here. Okay, so you have this shield, the checkerboard, and then you have this one where it's 2 sides, okay? Now you'll see that she's at 3 stacks, but everyone else is at 5. So we all obviously have a discrepancy. Now she's down to 2, and we're down to 4, and someone with 5. He's a little bit slower, so we really don't worry about his shield stacks. But you can see as the fight goes on, she starts getting lower and lower on her count. Now, if we get lucky with the reflex set procs, we can potentially extend this further to help. But we're getting very close. Like, we went up to 3 and then back down to 2. Eventually, she will outrun this. Now, like I showed you guys, you could just run a slower Mikage and not have to worry about this at all. But if you're lazy like me, what happens if you just run Mikage as she is? So I'm going to pause it here. Okay, so we're down to 1 stack, right? Look at where our damage is. I mean, we're almost doing 2 million per turn. That's a great, great pace, okay? I want you to keep that in mind. Because our goal is 70 million. Now, if you're a very competitive person, if you're very, like, I want to do the most clan boss damage in my clan, I want to set records and do all these things, then yeah, I get it that this may not be for you. But for me, I just want to do 70 million with the click of a button. That's all I want to do, right? So I'm not looking for the perfect team. I'm not looking for 100 million damage. I'm not looking for 300 million damage. I'm looking to at least do 70 million damage in one key on Ultra Nightmare. Okay? Alright, so there, now you can see that shield is gone. She lost her shield. Okay? Everyone else has multiple stacks on the checkerboard shield. She no longer has that. Now, normally, when it comes to Wixwell teams, that means she is going to die. But something we're not considering is that this is Lady freaking Mikage. This is a mythical champion. She starts with high base HP. Starts with high base speed. She gets a bunch of turns. And we're bringing good healing, too. I want to point that out, right? Like, you'll get to see it as we start to progress, but she's still not really taking damage. Now, I will admit, this is a really good affinity for her, right? They have the clan boss can weak hit her. We're getting stronger hits out of some of our other champions here. I haven't necessarily tested it in all affinities, but I truly believe I did test it on the weakest affinity for the concept. So we're going to keep going here. And you're just going to see this damage ramps up so fast. Like, we stack so much damage at such a fast rate on this account. That does, you know, we're bringing decreased attack with Wixwell. Everyone else's shield is getting to where they need to be, right? They've got all their stacks. They've got multiple stacks, way more than they need. And uh-oh, we lost the shield on Mikage. What's that mean for us? Well, it doesn't mean anything, because he's stunning Oella, and Mikage doesn't even get hit there. Clan boss is about to take a turn. We put the shield back out. Does the hit. We survive. Again, weak affinity, weak hits. I get that. Trust me when I tell you guys that this did work on Spirit affinity, which would have been the weakest one for Mikage, where she would have gotten hit the hardest. And so when you're thinking about what our goal is 70 million. We're on a great pace. We're over 2 million a turn pace now. If you consider if you consider regular unkillable teams, right? Their goal is to go 50 turns. And then your goal as the player is to find a way to get 70 million damage within 50 turns for an unkillable team. It's not always that easy. It's a little bit easier now with gear ascension and some of the gear sets that we have that can really boost damage very quickly. But you're mostly counting on getting a lot of procs of War Master or Giant Killer, Giant Slayer. There's so many different things in so many different games. Here, that's kind of the similar strategy, right? Because I know I'm not going to do that 1,500 turns, and it's going to end earlier than I want it to, so I'm trying to find ways to ramp that damage up in a shorter time frame. But you can see, here we are at 53 million already, not even 25 turns in. We're not even halfway towards 50 turns, which is where you would want to have your normal unkillable be at. Or sorry, which is where your normal unkillable teams would end. That's because at 50 turns he ignores block damage and unkillable. Just a really, really good pace here. Very happy with it. And you'll see that she's never got the shield back, but she's not taking damage. She's not taking enough damage because we are moving at such a fast pace and doing so much damage ourselves between the ally attacks, right? Between the A1 ally attack that Ninja and Mikage get, our damage is, and the fact that Ninja just hits so hard against Clan Boss, and same thing with Rathalos and his really strong abilities. Now you can see we're getting a little bit of damage to our actual HP there, but still everybody else has their shield, and Lady Mikage is just hanging out. This is kind of what I wanted to talk about, right? This is thinking a little bit outside the box. Could I have done a more traditional team with Lady Mikage and probably guaranteed much better results? I absolutely could have. But this doesn't require me to change gear, and yet everybody else still has their Infinity Shield. It's no longer Infinity, but they still have their massive shields. And there we have it. There's the 70 million damage, right? In 29 turns. We're going to let it keep going so you can kind of see the point where Lady Mikage will die. And you'll see how much damage we do at that point. And the other thing that is worth mentioning is how much longer they run after she's gone, right? There we go. So she was about 70% health, maybe 60% health there. Getting close to the point where she's dying, but everyone's got 15 stacks. Oh, sorry, 12 stacks, 12 stacks, 15, 14 stacks of shield. It's going to take a little while before the boss can get those stacks down, because they're still going to be increasing turns on them as well at a slower rate, at a 2 increase rate. But when Mikage goes, the team continues even after she's gone. And this was, I don't know, maybe this isn't really something that's a crazy good video or something that you guys will be interested in, but the lesson that I kind of want to relay here and kind of represent is that you don't always need these perfect teams. I see a lot of clan boss when I do account takeovers. I see it in my very own clan, where people convince themselves, like, well, I need a reviver, I need ally, I need this, I need that, I need this. Guys, all you need to do is 70 million damage before you die. That's it. Maybe there are ways to think outside the box to do that, right? Is it super easy to do it if you give everybody a shield that is 2 million damage and you're really hard to kill? Yeah, absolutely. It's very easy to hit those numbers. But you can also brute force it. You can also just say, hey, I am going to do this much damage before my team dies, right? And that's all I'm doing here. That's all I'm doing here. I'm keeping decrease attack on the boss as much as possible to try and reduce the damage that he's doing. And we're just doing really good boss damage with a mythical. Obviously, if you don't have Mikage, hey, this may not be the answer for you, right? Like a super fast anchorite in this role isn't going to work the same way as what I'm telling you, because I'm not getting that big damage boost that I want. And also keep in mind that if you were to put something in here that's like just an ally attacker, I don't think you would be able to. You're still getting the buff extension from Lady Mikage. Like, she is a jack of all trades here, right? She's extending the buffs. She's bringing ally attack. She's bringing an ally attack on the A1. Like, this is probably a very specific Lady Mikage feature when it comes to this Wixwell team. The main thing that I'm just trying to bring across here is the fact that this team shouldn't work. It's not a real Wixwell team, right? Because not everybody is getting their buffs and getting them extended and all those things. But because she's a mythical, she gets to do mythical things, and we get to keep her built super fast for other content without harming my lower content, right? My clan boss content. And I think that's really, really important to remember. Um, Maybe you're not even running a Wixwell team. Maybe you're just throwing in your 300 speed champions and just brute forcing it, right? You've got some ally attackers, you've got a little decrease attack, maybe some ally protect and some shields or something, and you're just doing 30 turns and you're getting 100 million or 70 million or something. You know, these are the things that I want people to think about, because far too often I see people be like, well, I gotta have a heal, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. And they're putting in support champions and they're putting in weaker champions into clan boss that are actually hurting their performance rather than helping. You want to amplify your damage. That's what you're looking to do. You're trying to prioritize your damage. Yes, survivability is a factor, and you want to give yourself that survivability, but sometimes you can play around with it and get really positive results that you would not normally think about, right? So here I am, making it all the way to 50 turns with... So let me just give a better example here. 50 turns is the limit for an unkillable team, right? I'm talking block damage, unkillable. This lady Mikage survived all the way to turn 50 with nothing but her normal HP in obviously a protection set and a Wixwell shield, right? Because that early shield wore off. She outran that very fast. And sometimes when the boss is hitting, she doesn't even have it up. You know, this is just the power of good gear, and you know, but she's got an increased defense. We do have decreased attack on the clan boss. She is a positive affinity, so take all those things into consideration, but all she had to stay alive past whatever turn she lost that second shield was a Wixwell shield every couple of turns. Really important to understand that. That's the lesson that I want you guys to understand. It's like, you can go 50 turns with just good gear and a champion. Now, do I have a healer? Yes, I do. If I had a leech in this team, Lady Mikage would heal just fine. I feel like she's probably got maybe 1 or 2 clan boss turns left. I'd say probably about 53, 54 turns. She's gonna... Oh, you know what? That didn't hit as hard as I thought it would, so... I think the other one, the lightning attack, hits harder, I think. I could be wrong about that. Let's see. That one. Yeah, definitely hits harder, right? That took her down to about half health. So I would say then probably 56 turns, because the next one's a stun. Yep, there's a stun. Pretty decent sized hit there. She does have a continuous heal, so she's going to heal a big chunk there. I think we're going to get a heal from Oella. We're not. So Mikage might die on this turn here. See, this is what I'm talking about, right? All we're, you know, between the decreased attack and increased defense and a little bit of shielding from Wixwell, she's able to take the hits, guys. This is why killable teams are usually what you would see from high-end players as well, right? Unkillable teams are very easy early on, but when you have the gear and the capability, you can just survive a bunch of turns against clan boss. And so we are still going here. We're getting very, very close to Mikage dying. I'm not gonna drag this on any longer than I need to, right? I think I've made my point very clear. There she goes, okay? So she's also block revived, so she's done. No way to bring her back. Even if we had a reviver on the team, like even if we had Godseeker in here, cannot bring Mikage back. That's the 50 turn thing. So now I have 21, 22, 23, and 26 turns left of shields built up. So this team is going to continue to do more damage. Now, Like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and end it, and for the sake of the video. But in the first playthrough of that today, I think we did about 150 million. So they probably go pretty quick after that without that buff extension, and they're taking a lot of churns and all those things. So it is quite possible that they only go a few more turns. But I just want to point this out. I see far too often, even in my own clan, um, players who are using champions that are probably weaker in the grand scheme of things for what they're trying to do, and not capitalizing on some of their higher value champions. I'm not going to call anybody out in front of my whole community, right? But it's something that I see in takeovers all the time, and it's something I see within my clan, and I wanted to make this video. Um, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope there was some, information regarding Wixwell that you guys can take from that. I think it is good information. I think it's important to understand that the perfect Wixwell teams, those work too, but sometimes these are the ones that can also work, and it worked just fine for me. I was able to hit my max or my minimum, right, 70 million, and I can you know say, cool, I did my damage, and call it a day. All right, well, hey, thank you guys for watching. I do have an important message for you before you go, if I managed to get you guys before you left. I am streaming tomorrow night. I start streaming at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am pulling Void Shards. Now, on my free-to-play, I will be pulling 30 Void Shards plus whatever additional Void Shards I get from Clan Boss or any other areas of the game. I don't know if I have any quests coming up. I don't think I'm close. I'm not yet. But I will be pulling all of my Void Shards over here on the free-to-play. I've been pretty lucky with Void Shards on that account in the past. My Mercy is at 98. I'm due for some fun. So who knows? Maybe we hit pretty hard on something there. And then over on the main account, I have not pulled Void Shards in quite some time. I'm thinking about going down to 120, maybe even down to 100, or hell, maybe I pull all 140 of these shards. My Mercy on this is even higher. I'm currently at 150. So I am definitely going to pull a legendary if I want to on the main account. So I'm excited about that. So come hang out with me, guys, tomorrow live on stream. Just a reminder, I do gift memberships for the YouTube channel over on my YouTube live whenever I pull a legendary. So if I pull 2 legendaries on either on both accounts, I would gift 2 memberships in the chat for those play for it randomly selects who gets them. If you happen to get one of these memberships, that gets you in line for a free takeover. And I am actually going to be making some member exclusive content coming out in the next couple of days as well. This is not to entice you guys as much as it is that there are exterior motivations to build exclusive member content. That's all I'll say, because I didn't see anything that said I can't talk about it, but I'll put YouTube wants me to make member only content, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, thank you guys for watching. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. It is the best way to support my channel. I am pushing and working very hard. I'm in kind of a weird limbo state right now where I'm about to move across the country to a completely different time zone state. Like it's a lot. So my content is going to be hit or miss, but if you guys stick with me, stick through that, I'll see you on the other side, and I'll get back to making content on the regular, not missing streams. In fact, I'll be able to stream at much more convenient times. A lot of stuff will be improved if once I get to my next location. So bear with me through the holidays, guys. We'll see you on the other side in the new year. But please consider subscribing. It is the best way to support my channel. More subscribers means potentially better sponsorships, right? It means potentially better collabs. You know, kind of I could make it in the content creator program. There's a lot of really cool things that'll happen as I build up this channel. So please consider doing it because it is directly going to support me if you subscribe to this channel. Thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you either live tomorrow night. That's going to be Friday, November 15th, or I'll see you in the next video. Take care.